Hello viewers, Margo here. John asked me for help to try to make this video less terrible and boring. I believe those were his exact words. I tried, but I am not a wizard, so my apologies. This is the best I could do.
So on this bizarrely warm, humid autumn's day, where it is ridiculously hot, got a big coat, but I've had to wrap it around me. Anyway, that's irrelevant. This is obviously a video about Halloween sweets, as we call them here, or candy as you call them across the pond, and just things that we might, you know, get given in trick or treat, or a traditional, I suppose, at this time of year, and that kind of jazz. Yeah, it's as simple as that. This may well be edited by a guest editor again, possibly, who knows, maybe, which is why hopefully it'll be very short, and I'm still waffling on for no reason. Alright, we'll crack on with it. So first we're going to start with a very kind of dark candy sweets. Let's just call them sweets, okay? You know what sweets are, and that's licorice. And it's kind of, I suppose kids nowadays will probably throw it back at you, but I love licorice, and this one is kind of based round a kind of more actual licorice than a licorice sweet. And this is Lolita Lempica's Minuit Noir. Now this is primarily, it is quite a rooty licorice. It almost has a sort of biscuity texture as well, which I suppose adds to that root. I don't know if you've ever chewed a licorice root. It's quite lovely, and you get the actual taste of licorice. Now obviously this one has little hints of what we'd expect from this line. There is little hints of violet and whatever, but actually primarily it is that licorice. It is that darkness, it is that kind of graininess of the original, and it's got the musks. I think it's got bits of vanilla and what in. It's not as fruity as others in the line. It's just a really, really gorgeous licorice one. So yeah, for licorice is Lolita Lempica's Minuit Noir, and yeah, there's lots of yeah. Next we have Tutti Fruttis. Now these are sweets mainly from my childhood. Obviously they've been reformulated nowadays, and they're quite different. They were like little packs, and they were like square sweets, chewy sweets, and they were like little pastel colours, and they kind of had like a pastel fruity flavour. I don't think they used to count as one of my 5 a day back in them days, but they were very nice, very distinctive smell and taste actually. And there was a point where you could get there's this ice cream brand over here called Gino Ginelli, and you could get Tutti Frutti flavoured ice cream, which was blooming lovely. Anyway, the fragrance is from Kajal, and it's called Almaz. Now this is it's not as sweet focused as you think, but it does remind you of that. It's like all these pastel fruits running through it. It's even a little bit juicy. It's lovely. The fruits are not obnoxious, they're not that kind of over the top syrupy, over sweet fragrance notes. This one has quite a bit of woodiness in it, a little bit of greenness running through it. It's just really quite a delightful fragrance that does make me think of Tutti Frutti. Maybe Tutti Fruttis for adults. So that's Almaz from Kajal. Next is a kind of traditional one we all love, and that's chocolate. Now we know I'm not some big gourmandy lover type person. Don't like that kind of sickliness and the over syntheticness, and it actually not smelling anything like what it's supposed to. But Acro's Dark, now that is a proper chocolate. It's a grown-up chocolate. It's cocoa-y. It's got little bits of bitterness in it. It's woody, there's no oud. It's just an edge to give you that bit of sophistication. It's a little bit of Nutella, and it's just this kind of expensive Belgian chocolate you've just picked up, and it's delightful. And I think really, I spoke about this one so much, I'm not going to waffle on, but it is one of the best chocolate fragrances out there, really. So that's Acro's Dark. Now next, we have something that, I don't know, it might happen abroad, traditionally kind of British from my childhood, and is something you'd probably get given on a trick or treat. It's something we call the 10p mix-up, which was just a random mix of one-off sweets. You know, you could buy the eggs, little chocolate sticks, that sort of thing. You know, little moon ships and things like that, sherbet things. But yeah, anyway, nowadays a 10p mix-up is probably about 40 quid. You probably get less sweet. You normally get about 10, maybe 11, and I need a shopkeeper, so yeah. Anyway, what I picked for that is Hush Hush from 4160 Tuesdays, which is kind of, it's a couple of things, but one of the things it is Claire Smurfy Girlie's memories of being in a little kind of sweet shop, tobacco shop back in her youth, and have all the jars of sweets that you'd have in your 10p mix up, and it was yeah, it was kind of that. So it's perfect for that. So for a 10p mix up is Hush Hush from 4160 Tuesday. Next up is I don't know if these really travelled abroad, but we used to have Parma Violet sweets. They're like little tiny round circles of a kind of chalky thing that was flavoured with Parma Violets, obviously, and a heck of a lot of sugar. They do still exist nowadays. In fact, you can get giant ones as well. Yeah, they're more or less the same. I mean, you can't really go wrong with it. And yeah, these were sort of one of my favourites as a kid. They're just, yeah, because they were basically just violet flavoured sugar. Anyway, what I've picked for that is Insolence from Gourmand. So obvious, isn't it? Which is this kind of powdery Parma violets. There's a lovely powdery muskiness about it. There's obviously some wood, some vanilla, blah blah blah, but it does make you think of the Parma Violet sweets, maybe more so than most kind of fragrances out there. There is one from Montal, Chocolate Violet, which reminds me of putting Parma Violet in your mouth when you've got a little block of chocolate in your mouth. But anyway, we're talking about Gourmand. So yeah, for Parma Violet sweets is Gourmand's Insolence. Next up is another chocolate one, except this one to me is white chocolate, although a lot of people smell it as kind of milk chocolatey and stuff. Now, white chocolate is perhaps not my favourite, but sometimes I do fancy it. I'm not really entirely sure what it's got to do with chocolate. It really is just a bar of cream with sugar in, isn't it? It might use cocoa butter to give that kind of emulsive feel. I don't know, I'm not an expert. Lovely butterflies. But yeah, it's Lilac Love from Amouage. Now this is obviously, like I say, white chocolate, but it's got lilac running through it. Not quite the same as the violet kind of thing. Lilac is a bit fresher, a bit greener, even in a funny kind of way. Perhaps naturally more of a nectary, sugary smell. Not as sweet, but yeah, I'd say that's fair enough. And Lilac Love is a massive fragrance. It can be too much, but it is basically like these artisan chocolates you get nowadays that probably are flavoured with lilac, and lilac and white chocolate probably go together quite nicely. So yeah, that's Lilac Love from Amouage for white chocolate, lilac flavoured white chocolate. Next up is a very famous one, and that's for Marshmallow, and that's Killian's Love Don't Be Shy. Now we know what marshmallow is. I prefer flumps, which again, I don't know if these travel. These are the kind of twisted ones that oh god, shit, the twisted ones that are kind of a bit more sugary, a bit kind of softer. It's almost like they have been toasted a little bit because you get the crystallizing of the sugar, whereas marshmallows are, you know, big stodgy, squidgy things, aren't they? Both are fine, but obviously love Don't Be Shy. It is primarily the kind of orange blossom, which reminds Americans of some cereal apparently. I don't know, I don't live in America, don't eat American cereal. It's very expensive and very sugary. But yeah, the marshmallow is actually in it, and it has that kind of lovely texture about it, and it makes it a little bit fluffy as it develops. And weirdly, you can actually smell, of all the marshmallow fragrances I've smelled, I'd say this is the one where you can kind of feel it in the fragrance. So yeah, for marshmallows is Love Don't Be Shy from Killian. Finally is one of my favourite, one of the best I've tried this year, and this is two sweets. It's a humbug sweet, which is a mint kind of toffee sort of thing. The brown, or the brown and white, or black and white, and they basically, it's like a minty crust over the top with a chewy toffee in the middle. They are both slightly different. One might be butterscotchy, I don't know. But anyway, Pitching Woo, from One Way Bridge, the opening of it reminds me of that. It has this kind of hark back to that, and it's a very distinctive smell. And these sweets were things like your grandma or whatever would give you, so that really sticks with me. And then, to me, there is a bit of peachiness in this, which I don't pick out too much. It's only because people have mentioned it. It's the kind of sweetness, but it is like a kind of slightly peachy pistachio kind of kulfi ice cream almost, and it gets, with that mintiness running through it, keeps it fresh. Now, it's not an overtly strongly mintiness, but it freshens it and keeps it all lovely. And this is it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. If you imagine all the hype around the Chiali Yummy pistachio and what everyone thought it would be, this kind of beautiful big gelato ice cream thing, this is what this is, but done well, with that mintiness and that loads of interest in. I'm not saying I don't like the Chiali, by the way, but it's not quite what the hype was. So yeah, anyway, I've waffled on a lot about that one. That's Pitching Woo from One Way Bridge, and that reminds me of humbugs. Again, you'd be quite sad if you got humbugs in your trick-or-treating. Be from some old granny. And ice cream, which maybe you would. Maybe you'd come across some Italian. Would you like some gelato, children, little devils? And yeah, so that's Pitching Woo from One Way Bridge. So yeah, this was, you know, there's no kind of rhyme or reason to this one. It's not particularly serious, but I've never really talked about sweets, and that's kind of a good one to do. And there are some good ones out there, then they don't all have to be horrifically synthetic, sweet, over the top ones. You know what I mean, we've all smelt them. You kind of get one that's candy flavoured, and it's really not, it's horrific. Ones that allegedly smell of popcorn, which are synthetic messes, and you know, I'm not talking about anything in particular, but you know what I mean. There's just, it's hard to get right, and when it's kind of done delicately and not over the top, it can really work. So what's your favourite sweet candy fragrances? What do you love getting for, what's it called, trick or treat? What do you hand out? I mean, we all have to do it, otherwise we're gonna, you know, nowadays you're not just going to get your bin set on fire, you're probably going to get stabbed with a machete and the whole street burnt down by some overly old teenagers who shouldn't be doing it. But yeah, that's Halloween, folks. Thanks for watching, bye.